There is to the structure of our personality not only a vertical dimension, but also a horizontal one, or perhaps we should say a concentric one. There is a difference between how we are on the surface and deep inside. On the surface, we have only our behavior. And that is all that objective science can study. But the problem is that our behavior can be caused by very different things inside. A person can smile because he is genuinely happy about something. He can also smile because he wants to make an impression. Many people are not even aware that they actually are into theatre. Some people are consciously pretending something which they are not. But if people are good at it, I don't think you can always see it from the outside. So it's important to go inside. The problem is that most people, most of the time, know hardly anything about what is inside of themselves. Freud famously wrote that we know as little about what happens inside of ourselves as we know about a universe outside of ourselves. And he was probably optimistic. Freud said we know of ourselves as much as the tip of an iceberg. Sri Aurobindo said it is more like the foam on the ocean. There's really an infinity of water below that foam. So what we know of ourselves is only a tiny bit just under the outside crust. A little bit of what is further inside comes to us through dreams. A tiny bit. Freud discovered some area of it, some very dark, dingy corner. And somewhat tragically, he thought that that was all there was to it. So he exaggerated beyond any proportion the importance of the dark corner that he found. Jung saw much more and also saw what's beautiful inside. But even he discovered actually only very little of what all is going on inside of ourselves. The Indian tradition has kind of specialized in it. So there is a lot of information in the Indian tradition about what goes on deeper inside ourselves. Mystics, occultists, shamans have all warned that going deeper inside is dangerous. There are many forces there that can easily overpower the little ego on the surface. But there is a safe way of exploring the inner realities. And that is by going through that whole mixed area that is inside and find our innermost self, which in English is often called the soul. Our soul is genuinely eternal, and it is inherently blissful. So it is not vulnerable, and it has no axe to grind. And because of that, once you can identify with your soul rather than with the ego on the surface, you can explore what is in between the surface and the depths safely. Because your soul is not vulnerable. Nothing can happen to it. And because it has no axe to grind, it can look at what is happening inside objectively. It has what in Sanskrit is called the sākṣī, the witness consciousness. And obviously, that is very crucial for the development of psychology as a science. Because with that witness consciousness, we can actually see objectively what's going on inside. The other half of the story is that when we are there in our soul, we are, as I said, not vulnerable anymore. And so all the things that look quite frightening and terrifying on the surface are not that serious anymore, because they cannot affect anymore what we are deep inside.